And joining me now for more analysis is Matthew Continetti, editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon. Okay, Matthew, so we just heard Senator Marco Rubio, who says that this move is a colossal mistake. What's your take, and what do you think this impact will have on the region?
Well, I think the senator makes a good argument. You know, the first point to make is the war on ISIS is not actually finished. We have degraded ISIS. We have not defeated it. It even still controls a small pocket of territory in eastern Syria. So this withdrawal, of course, would be leaving the battlefield before the battle is won. You know, the second reason is that this mission in eastern Syria has actually been relatively low cost and high yield, because not only do we have boots on the ground to help with the war on ISIS, we're also protecting the main ground force against ISIS, which are the Kurds, and we're there establishing forward presence, and that deters actions, bad actions, by actors like Iran, Syria, Russia, and then Turkey. So we remove that, and then of course there's a humanitarian cost. We discussed the Christians, we just mentioned the Kurds as well. It also sends, I think, a bad signal to our allies. You know, President Trump enforced Barack Obama's red line, right? And I think that kind of sent a message to our allies that said you can trust America now. If we leave before the mission is done in Syria, I think not only our allies are going to be nervous, but our adversaries in the region are going to start looking to build off this opportunity.
Okay, so we'll be watching that situation. I want to switch gears here. In other news, conservatives are also urging the president to reject a stopgap funding measure unless, of course, it includes border wall funding. Do you think the president's been convinced by them from other conservatives, or this is his own decision?
No, I think the president saw the reaction among his conservative base to this prospect of not being able to secure wall funding in this end-of-the-year appropriation. He saw how furious conservatives were, and so that's why he told the House leadership that he needs a bill that has some money for the wall. The problem, though, isn't necessarily in the House. The problem is in the Senate, where you need 60 votes to get that appropriations bill past the finish line. And I'm just not sure who holds the leverage here. You know, typically, the party that's blamed for the government shutdown is the one that doesn't want the government shutdown. But President Trump, in his meeting the other week with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, said, go ahead, blame me for the shutdown. He's willing to take that blame, which means that we might have a shutdown in the coming days.
Okay, well, we watch to see how all that plays out, especially within the next 48 hours. So while we're waiting to see what happens with that, I want to ask you about Mexico, because we also have the story about Mexico and the agreement to keep immigrants who want asylum in their country. Do you think this is enough to appease the president's base, who's looking to see progress on immigration reform?
Oh, I think this policy will be welcomed by President Trump's base. I mean, the fact is, we have had people exploiting loopholes in our asylum law for some time, and that's one of the drivers of the migrant caravans that have been causing such commotion on our border throughout this past year. So this agreement with Mexico, which would require asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while their process is being claimed, their claim is being processed, rather, will do a lot, I think, to solve the problem. Because what happens typically is they enter the country illegally, they make the claim for asylum, and while their claim is being adjudicated, they disappear and they become illegal immigrants. So in this case, they'll have to remain in Mexico. I think it will cut down on illegal immigration.
Okay, so many important issues to discuss. We'll be watching all of them. Matthew Continetti, editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you.